Welcome, restless souls, to Carman's Crypt. I'm Carman, keeper of forgotten tales and curator of nightmares. You've wandered into my domain, where each week I unearth a fresh horror from the depths of human imagination. In these darkened halls, stories wait like hungry shadows. Each tale we've collected whispers of terrors both ancient and new. From crumbling mansions where something skitters behind the walls, to that strange text message you received at 3 a.m. from a number that shouldn't exist. So gather close. The candles are lit, the shadows grow long, and the witching hour is upon us. Are you prepared to face what lurks in the darkest recesses of Carman's Crypt? Lock your doors, still your nerves, and remember, here, every fear comes to life. This is Carman's Crypt. Your sanctuary of scares awaits. That first time Clover truly understood what love meant, she was 17, and watching her mother peel apples with years of practiced precision. Each curl of red skin fell into the bowl with a wet whisper, leaving behind pale flesh that would brown and rot if not eaten quickly enough. "Your sister needs you," her mother said without looking up from her work. The kitchen knife caught the afternoon light streaming through the window, casting fractured rainbows across the white tiles. "She's always needed you." Clover had heard variations of this phrase her entire life. When she had scraped her knee at age 6, rushing to give blood samples that somehow always ended up in Rose's medical files. When she had been homeschooled instead of attending the local high school, because Rose needs consistency in her environment. When she had never been allowed sleepovers, birthday parties, or friends, because Rose can't be exposed to germs. But today, something in her mother's voice made the words feel different, heavier, final. "What do you mean?" Clover asked, though part of her, the part that had always lived in the shadow of her sister's illness, already knew. Her mother set down the knife and turned to face her. Margaret Thorne had once been beautiful, Clover supposed, but years of caring for a chronically ill child had carved deep lines around her eyes and mouth. Her hands, now reaching for Clover's face, smelled of antiseptic and apple juice. "Rose's kidneys are failing," she said simply. "Complete renal failure. She has maybe 6 months without a transplant." Clover's stomach dropped. "But the waiting list?" "There is no waiting list for Rose." Margaret's fingers were cold against Clover's cheek. "There never was. We've been preparing for this day since before you were born." The words didn't make sense. Clover shook her head, stepping back from her mother's touch. "What are you talking about?" "Sit down, sweetheart." "I don't want to sit down." "Clover, sit." There was something in her mother's voice. Not quite a command, but not quite a request either, that made Clover's legs fold beneath her. She found herself in the wooden chair where she had eaten thousands of meals, always positioned so she could see Rose's bedroom door down the hallway. "Your father and I," Margaret began, settling into the chair across from her. "We tried for years to have another child after Rose was born, but after her diagnosis, well, we knew any future children would need to be compatible." The kitchen felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. Clover's throat was dry. Compatible? Genetically matched. Same blood type, same tissue markers, same... Margaret paused, as if searching for the right word. Same everything that matters. "You mean..." "We designed you, Clover. Every part of you. Your DNA was selected specifically to be Rose's perfect match." That last line gives me goosebumps, but it got me thinking about purpose, about being designed for something. Obviously, most of us aren't genetically engineered to be organ donors, but that pressure to be everything for everyone, that hits home for me. And I know firsthand that it can wear you down. That's been my life lately. juggling story deadlines, recording schedules, parenting, and still trying to show up creatively. This past month, I've been relying on Magic Mind, and honestly, it's made a huge difference. Magic Mind reached out a few weeks ago and sent me samples of all 3 of their formulations to try first, before we even talked about sponsoring. I decided to have them as a sponsor because the products actually work. I tried all 3 formulations during their challenge. Original with the white bottle and yellow label in the first 2 days, free in the light green bottle in the following 2, and Max in the dark green bottle with their strongest formula in the last 2 days of the challenge. Max is my go-to now, and what I've been using consistently this past month. On days where I feel like my brain's made of fog, and my to-do list is a horror movie in itself, Max helps me cut through the noise and actually lock in. No crash, no jitters, just a steady, focused energy that lets me do deep creative work or survive a grocery store run with 3 kids. Why does it work? Nano encapsulation. It sounds sci-fi, but it basically means the ingredients are absorbed more efficiently, up to 5 times better than regular supplements. That includes adaptogens, nootropics, and time-released caffeine, so you get that sharpness without burning out. If you're balancing a lot, love caffeine, or need that extra kick for demanding days, I can't recommend Max enough. If you're more like my best friend who drinks way too much coffee, I'd actually recommend the free formulation, since it has 0 caffeine but still gives you that clear focus. And right now, Magic Mind is launching with their biggest discount ever. My listeners get 60% off your first subscription. This is honestly insane value and won't be around for long. Just use my link, magicmind.com/CarmanMF, or code Carman60 at checkout. There's even a 100% money-back guarantee, so it's literally risk-free to try it. I'd really grab this offer now while it lasts. The words hit like a solid punch to the stomach. Clover gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white. That's impossible. You can't just design a person. Can't you? Margaret's smile was sad and strange. We found a doctor in Switzerland, very expensive, very discreet. He specialized in what he called therapeutic siblings, children created specifically to help their older brothers and sisters. Clover's mind reeled. She thought of all the medical appointments over the years, all the tests and blood draws and biopsies that had been explained away as routine checkups. She thought of how she'd never been allowed to play contact sports, how her diet had been carefully monitored, how she'd never been permitted to get a driver's license because accidents happen. But now other memories surfaced, things she'd never questioned before. The way her parents had always spoken about her in clinical terms. Never our daughter, but the subject, or the secondary patient. How they'd discussed her growth charts and blood work over dinner, as if she weren't sitting right there. The way her mother had never comforted her when she scraped her knee, but had instead immediately swabbed the wound and rushed her to Dr. Hendricks for contamination assessment. She remembered her 5th birthday, when she had asked for a party like the one she'd seen in books. Her parents had exchanged that look, the one she now recognized as concern over her developing too much independence. And Margaret had said, "Parties are too stimulating for children with your condition." But what condition? She'd never been told she was sick. She remembered asking for a pet when she was 8, and her father explaining that animals carry disease that could compromise the sterile environment necessary for optimal development. Not her development, just development, as if she were an experiment in a lab. She'd remembered the way they'd celebrated Rose's birthdays with elaborate cakes and presents, while her own birthdays were marked with nothing more than a medical examination and a notation and a chart. 17 years of successful cultivation. Her father had said last month, writing in a leather-bound journal, she had thought he was being poetic about her growth into adulthood. "You've been keeping me like livestock," she whispered. "Like a miracle," Margaret corrected. "You are Rose's miracle. You always have been." The sound of footsteps on the stairs made both women look up. Rose appeared in the doorway, and Clover was struck by how much worse her sister looked than even a week ago. Her skin had taken on a grayish pallor, and dark circles ringed her sunken eyes. She moved carefully, one hand braced against the doorframe, her breathing slightly labored. Despite her obvious weakness, there was something different in her expression, a grim determination that Clover had never seen before. "Is it time?" Rose asked, her voice hoarse but steady. "Almost," Margaret replied. "Dr. Hendricks will be here in an hour." "Dr. Hendricks?" Clover stood up so quickly her chair fell backward. "Our family doctor?" "He's been a part of this from the beginning," Rose said, slowly making her way to the chair their mother had vacated. She gripped the back of it for support before carefully lowering herself down. "He's been monitoring both of us, making sure we stayed healthy enough for the procedure." "What procedure?" But even as Clover asked, she knew, had always known, somewhere deep in her bones. "The harvest," Rose said simply. "Your kidneys first, of course, but also your liver, your heart, your lungs, even your skin if we're careful about it." The room spun. Clover grabbed the counter for support, her legs threatening to give out. "You're talking about killing me." "We're talking about saving me," Rose corrected. "And really, what's the difference? You were never meant to be a whole person, Clover. You were meant to be my spare parts." "That's not true. I'm not. I have thoughts, feelings, dreams." "Do you?" Rose tilted her head, studying her sister. "Or do you just think you do? Dr. Hendricks has been very careful about your psychological development. Every book you've read, every movie you've watched, every experience you've had, it's all been designed to keep you compliant and healthy." Clover's memories felt suddenly suspect. The homeschooling that had been isolated from her peers, the carefully curated library that had shaped her worldview, the way she had always felt comfortable in the house, most at peace when she was caring for Rose. "Even your name," Margaret added softly. "Clover, a plant that grows wild but serves a purpose. Ground cover to protect the more delicate flowers." "Stop it!" Clover's voice cracked. "Just stop." "I know it's hard to accept," Rose said, her tone gentle but implacable. "But think about it logically. You've never had any real ambitions beyond taking care of me. You've never fallen in love, never dreamed of traveling or having a career. You've never even wanted to leave this house for more than a few hours." It was true, and that truth felt like acid in Clover's throat. She had always been content to live in Rose's shadow, to exist in the spaces between her sister's medical appointments. She had never questioned why she felt most fulfilled when she was helping Rose, never wondered why her own desires always seemed secondary. "The conditioning worked perfectly," Margaret said with something like pride. "You've been the perfect donor, daughter." "I won't do it." Clover backed toward the door, but Rose moved faster than she should have been able to, blocking her path. "You don't have a choice," Rose said. "You never did. Legal guardian consent, medical necessity. And let's be honest, who would believe you? As far as the outside world knows, you barely exist." It was another truth that cut deep. Clover had no social security number, no birth certificate, no legal identity beyond what her parents had carefully constructed. She was a ghost in the system, visible only when it served Rose's needs. "Please," Clover whispered. "I don't want to die." "You won't die," Rose said. "You'll live on in me. Isn't that what love is? Complete sacrifice." The front door opened, and Dr. Hendricks entered without knocking. He was a small man with kind eyes and gentle hands, the same man who'd given Clover lollipops after her checkups and told her what a good girl she was. "How are you feeling today, Clover?" he asked, setting down his black bag on the kitchen table. "Scared," she admitted. "That's normal. The preoperative anxiety will pass." He began unpacking supplies, syringes, vials, surgical instruments that gleamed in the kitchen light. "I've brought something to help you relax." "I don't want to relax. I want to leave." "That's not possible," Dr. Hendricks said gently, "but I can make this easier for you. A small injection, and you'll just drift off to sleep. When you wake up, you'll be with Rose forever." "I won't wake up at all." "No," he agreed, "but Rose will, and she'll carry the best parts of you with her." Clover looked around the kitchen that had been her world for 17 years. The apple peels in the bowl had turned brown, just as her mother had predicted. Everything rotted, eventually, if not consumed in time. "What about my soul?" she asked quietly. The question seemed to surprise everyone. Dr. Hendricks paused in his preparations. Margaret looked uncomfortable. Even Rose seemed momentarily uncertain. "I don't know if you have one," Rose said finally. "I mean, not in the way other people do. You were made to be part of me." "But what if I do?" Clover pressed. "What if I'm a real person, with a real soul, and you're about to murder me?" "Then you'll go to heaven," Margaret said quickly. "And God will understand that you died for love." "Will he?" Clover asked. "Or will he understand that you created a life just to destroy it?" The silence stretched between them. Dr. Hendricks had gone very still, his hands hovering over his instruments. Margaret's face had gone pale. Rose, however, was staring at Clover with something like hunger. "It doesn't matter," Rose said finally. "Soul or no soul, you're going to save me, because that's what you were made for." Dr. Hendricks picked up the syringe. "This will only take a moment." Clover closed her eyes and thought about the apple peels in the bowl, red skin curling away from pale flesh, beauty discarded to preserve what lay beneath. She thought about all the books she had read, all the movies she had watched, all the experiences she'd been allowed to have. Had any of it been real, or had it all been designed to keep her docile, compliant, ready for harvest? "I forgive you," she said suddenly. Dr. Hendricks stopped. "What?" "I forgive you. All of you." Clover opened her eyes and looked at each of them in turn. "I forgive you for what you've done to me, for what you're about to do." "Clover," Margaret started, "but I won't pretend it's love." Clover continued, "Love doesn't create life just to destroy it. Love doesn't reduce a person to spare parts. What you're doing, it's not love. It's selfishness. It's evil." "You don't understand," Rose said, but her voice lacked its earlier certainty. "I understand perfectly. You're so afraid of dying that you're willing to murder me to live. You're so selfish that you convinced yourself I'm not really human." Clover stood straighter, finding strength in her anger. "But I am human. I am real. And what you're doing is wrong." "It's too late for philosophy," Dr. Hendricks said, raising the syringe. "The surgical team's already on their way." "Then you'll have to do it while I'm fighting," Clover said. "While I'm screaming, while I'm begging for my life." The words hung in the air like a curse. Dr. Hendricks lowered the syringe slightly. Margaret was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Rose was staring at Clover with something that might have been recognition. "I had dreams," Clover said quietly. "Real dreams. I wanted to see the ocean. I wanted to fall in love. I wanted to plant a garden and watch things grow. Maybe those dreams were programmed into me, but they felt real. They felt like mine." "Clover, please," Margaret whispered. "I'm 17 years old." Clover continued. "I've never been kissed. I've never had a friend. I've never seen a sunrise that wasn't filtered through these windows. And now you want to take even that away from me." "To save your sister," Dr. Hendricks said. But his voice lacked conviction. "To feed my sister," Clover corrected. "Like a parasite, like a vampire." Rose flinched as if struck. I'm not. "What are you then?" Clover asked. "What kind of person accepts the murder of their sister as the price of their survival?" "A desperate one," Rose whispered. "A monstrous one," Clover replied. The kitchen fell silent, except for the ticking of the wall clock and Margaret's quiet sobs. Dr. Hendricks was still holding the syringe, but his hands were shaking now. "I could run," Clover said. "Try to escape. But where would I go? You've made sure I have nowhere to run. So instead, I'll stay. I'll let you do what you plan to do, but I won't pretend it's anything other than murder. Clover, I'll haunt you," she continued, her voice gaining strength. "Every day you live with my organs inside you, I'll be there. Every breath you take with my lungs, every heartbeat from my heart, I'll be reminding you of what you did. You'll never escape the knowledge that you're a killer." Rose was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "I just want to live." "So did I," Clover said simply. Dr. Hendricks set down the syringe with trembling hands. "I can't do this." "You have to," Margaret said desperately. "Rose will die without." "Then Rose will die," Dr. Hendricks began, packing his instruments back into his bag. "But I won't be a party to murder. That's what this is, murder." "Wait," Rose said, standing up. "Please, I can't die. I'm not ready." "Neither was I," Clover said. Rose looked at her sister, really looked at her, for what felt like the first time in years. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." "I know," Clover replied, "but sorry doesn't change what you were willing to do." After Dr. Hendricks left, the silence in the kitchen stretched like a taut wire. Margaret stared at the closed door, her breathing becoming shallow and rapid. "Mom," Rose said tentatively, "we can find another doctor. There has to be someone." "No." Margaret's voice was barely a whisper. "No, there isn't. He was the only one who understood, the only one who cared about our family." Clover watched her mother's face change, saw something fragile finally snap behind her eyes. Margaret's carefully controlled composure, 17 years of managing this impossible situation, cracked like ice. "It's over," Margaret said, her voice taking on a strange sing-song quality. "Rose is going to die. My beautiful, perfect Rose is going to die. And it's all for nothing." "Mom, please," Rose started. "But maybe," Margaret's eyes found the knife she'd been using to peel apples. It lay long forgotten on the counter, the blade still gleaming. "Maybe there's another way. If we can't save you, Rose, Maybe we can keep you forever." Clover felt the ice form in her stomach. "What are you talking about?" Margaret picked up the knife, turning it over in her hands like she was seeing it for the first time. "Families should stay together, always together. If one of us can't live, then none of us should. Put the knife down," Clover said, backing toward the hallway. "Don't you see?" Margaret's smile was terrifying in its gentleness. "This way Rose won't suffer. This way you won't have to live with the guilt of refusing to save your sister. This way we'll all be together forever." Clover felt ice form in her stomach. "What are you talking about?" Margaret picked up the knife, turning it over in her hands like she was seeing it for the first time. "Families should stay together, always together. If one of us can't live, then none of us should." "Put the knife down," Clover said, backing toward the hallway. "Don't you see?" Margaret's smile was terrifying in its gentleness. "This way Rose won't suffer. This way you won't have to live with the guilt of refusing to save your sister. This way we'll be together forever." Rose pushed herself from the chair, swaying with the effort. "Mom, you're scaring me. Please just put it down." "I won't let strangers take you away," Margaret continued, as if Rose hadn't spoken. "I won't let them put Rose in some terrible hospital bed to die alone. I won't let them separate our family." Clover realized with horror that her mother wasn't talking about mercy killing. She was talking about murder-suicide. All of them, together. "We can work this out," Clover said, trying to keep her voice calm. "There are other options." 17 years, Margaret said, advancing slowly. 17 years I've planned for this day. 17 years I've kept this family together, kept Rose alive, kept you safe and healthy. And for what? For some doctor to just walk away. The knife caught in the kitchen light as she raised it. Rose scrambled backward. "Mom, no!" Rose screamed. By the way, quick reminder, that Magic Mind discount is 60% off at magicmind.com/CarmanMF or code Carman60. Links in the description. And so, dear listeners, we emerge from another dark corner of Carman's Crypt. But remember, the horrors you've heard tonight are merely echoes of the terrors that await in the shadows of your own mind. If you enjoyed your stay in the crypt, why not invite a friend to join us next week? After all, fear is best when shared. Leave a review if you dare, or share your own tales of terror on my social media. Who knows, your nightmares might just become my next story. Until next time, keep checking under your bed. And remember, in Carman's Crypt, every fear comes alive, and no one is truly safe. Sweet dreams, if you can still sleep at all.